Hi, my name is Andrea Jones. I am a registered nurse with my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, and I have spent the last 12 years of my career working in pediatric acute care settings. After my own health crisis, after the birth of my first daughter, I began to pursue more holistic means of healing my body, restoring my hormones, and just really overall exploring all that is out there and accessible for us to heal ourselves and to step into more optimal state of health. So I am so excited that you are here, ready to invest in your health and your wellness, and I'm excited to share what I have with you. So this class I call Happy Hormones. And it is all about keeping our hormones happy. So we'll talk about what hormones are, where they come from, how we can influence them for good and for bad. And I'm really excited that you're here to learn today. So I want to start off by saying that while I am a medical professional, I am not a physician. So everything that I say is not to diagnose or treat any condition. This is for educational purposes only. If you decide after watching this video that you want a more personal consultation, a more personal approach to recovering your hormones or healing your hormones, then please feel free to contact me for a consultation, and we can set up some coaching, some personal health coaching that way, where I can partner with you and your physician to bring about the best health outcomes. But really the purpose of this class is to help you identify maybe some areas where there can be improvement in your health and some of the things that are influencing our hormones that I was not even aware of. So this really is intended to help get you onto a path of feeling well. So if you are wanting to incorporate more natural options into your health regimen, I suggest that you take this information, you think about what you might want to do with it, if that means working with me personally or working with a trained naturopath, then that's by all means, please do that, because we all need information that we can take to further our own healing. So, all right, so first I'm going to start off by sharing with you a little bit about the endocrine system. So the endocrine system is the system of organs in your body, your thyroid, your reproductive organs, some specific areas of the brain that all help to produce and regulate hormones. So what do hormones, the thyroid gland, and your adrenal glands have in common? Those are all part of your endocrine system. Each of those are vital components to those systems working properly so that you can feel your best. The endocrine glands produce hormones that regulate growth, development, metabolism, sexual function, reproduction, tissue function, sleep, and mood, among other things. And the more that we are learning about this, the more that we're learning that stress and even digestive health have either a positive or a negative impact on our hormones. So in general, a gland produces a hormone, and that hormone delivers a signal to an area of the body that either directly or through feedback produces an action by another part of the body. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some natural things that we can do to support our hormones. I'm also going to share with you about how we can use certain essential oils to help with our hormones as well. And I want to share with you that I'm only speaking about Young Living essential oils, not all of the other oils that are on the market. And the reason that I'm sharing with you about Young Living essential oils is because they are the industry leader in guaranteeing and producing 100% therapeutic grade essential oils. All of their oils are, all of their plants are weeded by hand. There are no pesticides or herbicides ever used on their products. They are distilled at peak basically at the peak production of that particular plant to capture all of the therapeutic benefits. They go through extreme and rigorous testing to produce high quality therapeutic grade essential oils. I am very picky about the oils that I use, what I use them for, using them on my children. So I wanted to let you know before we go into this class that when I mention particular oils for particular problems, I'm only speaking about Young Living essential oils. I am also a firm believer that if you do not address some of the other underlying issues related to your hormones, you're maybe not going to receive the maximum benefit. So you might be using oils and that's going to help to shift things in the right direction, but without shifting some of the other big players, you're not going to receive the maximum benefit. So it's really important to look at each individual, what is impacting them the most, and how we can bring about some of those big changes. So every day, we are inundated with toxins via our food, water, household cleaning products that are found within our bloodstream within an hour of exposure. So pretty much everything that we come in contact now is has the potential to either benefit our body for healing, or it brings us into a state of falling below the wellness line or toxicity. Most of these chemicals that we are exposed to are known carcinogens and endocrine disruptors, and they are not regulated by the FDA. So these are things like GMOs in our food. These are things like hormones in our meat. These are things like hormones in dairy products, and chemicals in our water supply, just to name a few. So when we first started kind of making a shift in our lifestyle, it was about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I guess. No, 7 years ago, because my daughter would have been about 1 year old when we first started thinking about the food that we were putting into her body, because she was now eating solid food. And we became aware that a lot of the food that we were eating was actually not healthy for us. So for example, as it pertains to hormones, you have dairy products. So dairy products are, if you think about it, you get milk from a lactating cow. Now, I am not anti-dairy. If you want to have dairy, get good raw dairy. But for the most part, anything that's pasteurized or treated conventionally is full of antibiotics, which disrupt your gut. And it is full of synthetic hormones. So you begin to ingest those hormones and they send signals to your hormones that can cause significant issues. So the number one thing that I would recommend if you are having hormone issues is to eliminate dairy for a period of time. This can be anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, and that really gives your body like an idea of, okay, this is what I feel like when I have dairy. This is what I feel like when I don't have dairy. And for some people, it's not an issue at all, but for a lot of people, it is an issue. And so part of the reason for that is that number one, most of us are already in a state of hormone overload. So our body is not processing the hormones that we already have. It's exposed to a high number of synthetic hormones, so that when you take in something like a dairy product, it hits the liver really heavy. And the liver is responsible for processing all of those hormones. So the liver's already having a hard time, and then you add dairy products to it and it gets further congested, and then all of those hormones get dumped onto the uterus. So if you are a female, those hormones are going to, instead of being filtered properly, they're going to get dumped onto your uterus, which can cause any number of issues. Number one, like the primary issue, is going to be cramping and pain and heavy bleeding with your cycle. And then the second thing that you might notice is irregular cycles or severe PMS. So we clean up the liver, you're going to have a much higher chance of feeling better around that time of the month. drinking lots and lots of water. So we have this wonderful thing called our lymphatic system. And our lymphatic system is what carries waste to and from different organs in the body. It's what allows us to get rid of waste within our body. And when we're not drinking enough water, and I've actually seen this in the hospital with dehydrated children, everything becomes thick and sticky. So like actually drawing blood, you would see this thick, sticky blood come out of dehydrated children. I hope I'm not grossing anybody out. But if you picture that as your lymphatic system that's trying to get rid of all this hormone and toxic waste, if you're not drinking enough water, it's not going to be able to do that. So drinking enough water, and the typical rule of thumb is half of your weight in ounces. So if you weigh 135 pounds, you're going to want to be drinking about 60 to 70 ounces of water per day. It can be hard to do, but once you get in the habit of it, it starts to feel really good. Eating only wild-caught fish or organic grass-fed meat. So the reason for this is, again, that organic or grass-fed meats or grass-finished meats are not exposed to the hormones and antibiotics that conventional meats are. Wild-caught fish, again, is not exposed to a lot of the GMOs or toxic overload that conventionally raised or farmed fish have. Avoid eating dairy products unless they are organic or raw. So again, if you're having issues with your hormones, you're going to want to adjust how much dairy you're having and then slowly introduce it, but consider introducing raw dairy. Eating good fats such as olive or coconut oil, grass-fed butter, while eliminating hydrogenated fats and vegetable oils like soy, canola, to name a few, corn oils, things like that can actually cause a lot of inflammation within the body. Choosing non-GMO foods always. So I know for us it was a big shift to go from eating a conventional standard American diet to then buying organic. And I mean, that was a big budget shift for us. So if you are in the same boat that we were in several years ago, you can't necessarily afford 100% organic, then at least try to go for non-GMO because you're going to get closer to nature that way, and you're going to have less endocrine disrupting issues. And then the sixth thing that I would recommend is to replace endocrine disrupting products. So chemically induced hair care, lotions, skin care. So the average woman is exposed to 80 chemicals. This is just the average woman. She puts about 80 chemicals on her body before breakfast. So that's through our shampoos, through our makeup, our deodorant, our body wash, our toothpaste, all before breakfast. So it's no wonder that we're having all of these crazy hormone issues that even our parents did not experience. So it's really important to replace some of those products. And one of the number one tools that I use to help people identify what is in their products, is it causing issues, does it have the potential to cause issues for them, is actually the Think Dirty app. Or if you go to the EWG.org, so the Environmental Working Group, you can type in your product or you can look it up by ingredient and see what's in there, what does it have the potential to do in your body. It will rank it on a scale from 0 to 10 as far as toxicity. And then you can make a decision to replace that with something else. So it's a great tool to have. So let's get back to the physiology. So the liver, like I said, is heavily involved in the endocrine system as it is constantly removing excess hormones from the bloodstream. If the liver is already overloaded with hormones, it's actually going to dump those onto the uterus, like we said. And that can wreak havoc on your cycle. So I'm going to share with you a few ways that we can help the liver so that it's not doing that, so that it can function properly. The second thing is that most of our hormones are actually made in our brain, which is one of the reasons why I love to use essential oils on a regular basis, because it helps to support my brain function, but it also helps to support healthy hormone function. The hypothalamus, which if you were to put your thumb on the roof of your mouth and draw a line like just straight up, you're going to run right into your hypothalamus. So it's located in the middle of your emotional center of the brain. The hypothalamus is where your emotions interact with your nervous and your endocrine system and affect bodily functions. So basically, big fancy words for interacting with your hormones and your nervous system, which is kind of everything. In order for any scent to be recognized by the brain, it must first be carried by a fatty oil, by a lipid. So an essential oil, because it has the natural fragrance of the plant itself and also happens to be an oil, a lipid, a fat, it gets right into the brain where it can start to influence your hormones, your mood, your emotions in a very positive way. So this provides a unique opportunity to use essential oils to impact the body and the brain very quickly. When oils are diluted or cut with synthetics like alcohols or other chemicals, that actually impacts the brain's ability to translate the smell or information and put it into action. So this is why it's really, really, really important that you know where your oils are coming from and what is in them. And so a little known fact is that the oils on the market today are allowed to say 100% pure therapeutic grade essential oil, and all that is required is that there be 5% essential oil in that bottle. So not ideal, not ideal. So that's why, again, why it's really important to understand where your oils come from. If the company does not disclose that information, then that's a red flag that you're going to want to find a company that will actually tell you about their distilling process, their testing process, where they get their oils from, etc. So back to the other glands of the body. The pituitary gland is known as the master gland. It gets its orders from the hypothalamus, which is the gland that we just talked about, through hormones and nerve signals, and then sends its own secretions to other glands. It secretes hormones that stimulate the ovaries or testes to produce their respective hormones. It signals the uterus to promote contraction at birth and also produce milk at childbirth, and is heavily involved in regulating our cycle. The pituitary gland is easily damaged through inflammation, pregnancy, childbirth, or injury. So something as simple as a whiplash while driving your car can actually damage the pituitary gland. Some symptoms of a damaged pituitary gland include difficult pregnancies, chronically low thyroid function, low metabolism, painful menstruation, poor memory, and adrenal issues. Who has any of those issues? I know that I have a few of them, which makes me think I probably need to be supporting my pituitary gland a little bit more. So here are some things that you can do to directly support your pituitary gland. A couple things: lavender and frankincense on the roof of the mouth 4 to 5 times a day will actually help support your pituitary gland. So if you put just a drop of each of those oils on your thumb and then press it to the roof of your mouth, you're going to get it into the pituitary gland and help support the healthy, normal function of that gland. And of course, fish oil. So we can talk a little bit about dosages for fish oil in a little bit, but fish oil in general, if you're not taking it, if you're not eating fish on a regular basis, then you're going to need to start doing that. So let's talk about the thyroid. The thyroid secretes hormones, primarily thyroxine, that boost the metabolism of every cell in the body, approximately doubling the body's rate of metabolism. A slow metabolism can cause excess weight gain, while a fast metabolism may cause excess hunger. This effect also extends to other endocrine glands, so if the thyroid isn't sending out the correct amount of thyroxine, the other endocrine glands won't be stimulated to produce their hormones properly. The thyroid may malfunction in being either under or overactive. The more common issues being an underactive thyroid, called hypothyroidism. Excuse me while I change my notes. Hypothyroidism is one cause of chronic fatigue syndrome. It can start very mild with low energy and then worsen to where it creates a very tired, extremely fatigued state, and can often lead to depression, emotional instability, fatigue, weakness, coarse, dry hair, dry skin, hair loss, constipation, depression, memory loss, low libido, just to name a few. A couple of the things that I use to support my thyroid, and that may be changing, as my hormones change as I get older. I am working with a naturopath on several of those things, but one of the things that I use every single day is EndoFlex essential oil. It is a blend of spearmint, sage, geranium, myrtle, German chamomile, and nutmeg. Each of the oils in this blend was created to support our endocrine and especially our thyroid. So what I typically do is I will put it right over my fingers and rub it over my thyroid. You can also put it on your lower back, your kidneys, your liver, your feet. It does contain a small amount of sesame seed oil. So if sesame seed oil is a problem for you, then certainly you're going to want to avoid that particular oil. But all of the oils in this blend are phenomenal, and I can definitely tell you that I have seen my cycle be terrible when I forget to use it, and then be awesome when I do remember to use it. Now, several of these oils, as a nurse, I personally would want to have a look at your labs before prescribing them, so to speak. But many of them are super helpful for most women who just need to support their thyroid and keep it functioning healthy before you end up in like a disease process state. So one of the supplements that I would recommend just for thyroid health for your average woman is Thyromin. So it is a supplement specifically balanced and designed to support healthy thyroid function. It works to normalize the gland. So it is full of what we call adaptogenic herbs, which are they don't force a process, they work with your body to keep things functioning properly, if that makes sense. So if it's underactive, it's going to help your body to normalize the production of some of the hormones. If it's overactive, it's going to work to normalize that as well. This supplement helps to nourish the thyroid and helps with feelings of fatigue. It contains herbs, amino acids, minerals, and essential oils that help create a balance to support the thyroid. Let's see here. Let's go on to talk about hormones. So everybody's heard of hormones, but like many people, you may not know exactly what they are. I know that I didn't know exactly what they are, or that different hormones, the different hormones that you have in your body. So when we're speaking of women's hormones, we're typically talking about estrogen and progesterone. Generally speaking, the majority of women in the United States have an excess of estrogen and a deficiency in progesterone. So part of the reason this is what we would call excess of estrogen dominance, dominant foods. So foods that cause your body to produce an excess of estrogen, and which then depletes your progesterone. So it's this cycle of hormones that they are all communicating with each other. So hormones are vital chemical messengers that influence every cell, organ, and function in the human body. They are involved in growth, development, metabolism, mood, sexual function, how your body reacts to changes in your environment, and blood composition. So progesterone is necessary in your body, even if you are postmenopausal, or you don't have your uterus, you've had a hysterectomy, or you don't have a period yet. Every female on the earth needs progesterone, regardless of your reproductive status. And so we'll talk a little bit about what progesterone does in just a second. Estrogen, on the other hand, is just as vital for women as progesterone, but the amount that women nowadays tend toward an excess of estrogen. So it has a required an acquired reputation as a troublemaker, but really it is a vital hormone that we all need. It is responsible for what feminizes our bodies. It determines your breast size, preparing the uterus for pregnancy, maintaining healthy skin, blood vessels and bones, as well as genitourinary issues, and for various other functions within the body, including your memory. If you have an excess of estrogen, then you tend to have an increase of fat storage and water retention. So we mentioned at the very beginning that lifestyle changes are very helpful in shifting some of these processes within the body. When you have elevated levels of estrogen, it can cause you to store fat in places you would not normally store fat. It can cause fibrocystic breasts or even breast cancer. They've actually found that the majority of breast cancers are actually linked to an excess in estrogen. And require estrogen to grow. There are other issues when you have increased estrogen, so I'm going to let you Google that and find some more of that information. But people wonder why we have such an increase in the estrogen dominance, and that is because it's coming from outside of our own endocrine system. So these are the things that we talked about, the exposure to toxins, the hormone inducing foods, so the foods that are influencing our hormones in a negative way. Our modern life has also exposed us to what are called xenoestrogens in our food and in our environment. So you will find these xenoestrogens in food additives, hormones fed to the animals that we eat, insecticides, weed killers, plastics, shampoos, lining of food and drink cans, cosmetics, detergents, and so much more. It is crazy the amount of these xenoestrogens that are in everything. So I'm going to share with you a few ways that you can help bring balance to your progesterone and your estrogen levels. One of the number one things that I recommend is actually castor oil, not the castrol oil for your car, but castor oil. When you rub it over your liver, which is if you take your right hand, you put it directly under your rib cage on the right side, that's where your liver is. If you rub it over your liver every single day, the acids within the castor oil help to break down hormones. They help to detoxify the liver and the gut, so that you can begin to eliminate some of those excess estrogens and other unwanted hormones. The other thing that I recommend is actually called seed cycling, and I'm going to post, in addition to this video, some information about how to do seed cycling. It's pretty simple. It is flax and or pumpkin seed, either ground up or just as part of your lunch meal, every single day from the day you start your period to day 14. And then sesame or sunflower seed from day 15 to the start of your period. And each of these particular seeds contains either estrogenic or phytoprogesterone properties that help to naturally balance out your hormones. Okay. In addition to that, I actually, one of my favorite products to use is Progessence Plus Serum. So it is biologically identical, naturally occurring progesterone derived from wild yams. It is intended for topical use, so I literally will just put one drop, less than a drop, on my wrist, and it is designed for maximum performance and absorption. It contains super micronized progesterone, again, derived from the wild yam, vitamin E oil, frankincense, bergamot, and peppermint. So each of those oils, in addition to the progesterone, help the progesterone to get into the cells of your body. If you think about it, progesterone is kind of like a key that unlocks the door to your house so that all of the other hormones can begin functioning and balancing themselves out properly. Without adequate progesterone, your estrogen's not going to balance itself out. Phyto Estrogens are plant molecules capable of interacting with estrogen receptors. They mimic the action of estrogen in your body, although they are weaker. So they can actually help to normalize the process that supplies calcium to your blood, benefits your heart, muscles, and nervous system. So again, when you're starting out balancing out your hormones, a couple of things that I would look at are adjusting your diet. Is there anything inflammatory in my diet that might be leading to hormone issues? The second thing would be to do the castor oil and the seed cycling. There's nothing wrong with doing them together. Most of us need more than one of those things to help shift our hormones. And then if you're still finding that after doing that, you're still having some issues with your hormones, then I would recommend consulting with me so I can help you figure out, is this an estrogen problem? Is this a progesterone problem? And which oils might then benefit you for that. There are several oils that help to balance out progesterone and other hormones in the body. Clary sage being one of them. If you are pregnant, do not use clary sage. It can help when you're ready to go into labor to help stimulate contractions, but that's not really something that you want at the beginning of your pregnancy. Scolaire Essence, which is a blend of clary sage, peppermint, sage lavender, and fennel, is designed to support overall glandular function, aiding the natural balance of hormones found in the woman's body. So clary sage may normalize your cycle. It is well regarded for its ability to soothe the negative effects of menstruation, including occasional cramping, bloating, mood swings, and cravings. Fennel contains phytoestrogens that help to balance menstruation. Peppermint and sage lavender enhance the balancing effects of Scolaire Essence. It also helps with energy support and is a great addition to overall women's health. So again, that does contain clary sage. So if you are pregnant, you are not going to want to use that particular oil. Then we have our adrenal glands. So we've talked about our pineal gland, our pituitary gland, our hypothalamus. The adrenal glands are another very vital part of your hormone system. So you have your inner and outer adrenal glands. The outer adrenal gland produce hormones that directly affect blood pressure, mineral content, and help regulate the conversion of carbohydrates, into energy. Insufficient adrenal gland function might have symptoms of fatigue, nausea, depression, craving salty foods, loss of appetite, muscle spasm. An overproduction of the adrenal glands might show symptoms of slow wound healing, resistance to infection, obesity, acne, weak muscles, and easily bruised skin. So I think of the adrenal glands like the top of the umbrella, and underneath that you have your thyroid, your ovaries, and all of your other reproductive hormones. So when you are supporting your adrenal glands, you're actually supporting all the other glands in your body. So one of the things that I love to use to support my adrenal glands is obviously only 1 cup of coffee a day. Coffee tends to drain the adrenal glands, not literally drain it, but it taxes the adrenal glands and requires more energy up from them. So 1 cup of coffee is my max for the day. Anything more than that, and I can feel I start to get really fatigued over a couple days, and it's not fun. But one of the things that you can do to support your adrenal glands, obviously, is adequate nutrition. Super B, so B vitamins. B vitamins are essential for healthy adrenal gland function, helps to balance mood, the production of red blood cells, and supports healthy energy and promotes a better quality of sleep. So I will let you look into more about what B vitamins do, but they are essential for every other process in the body. I also like to take, like I said, Endoflex Vitality internally. Helps to support my endocrine glands as well, which then supports my thyroid. So in closing, A healthy endocrine system is essential for every woman's health. The endocrine system regulates several systems of the body, releasing hormones in the bloodstream that control and regulate the activity of every cell and every organ. When the endocrine system is not balanced, cellular processes and the organ functions may be disrupted. So I hope that you got some useful information out of this class, out of this informative class. If you have further questions or concerns, or you felt like you got some great information but want to work a little bit more closely to help bring a shift to your hormones, then you're going to want to go to the Book Now tab and click on the Nurse Consult. You can choose your package. There are several packages in there, and I'm happy to work with you, or you can shoot me an email at andrea@abundantwellnesswithandrea.com. And I also am happy to collaborate with your physician if you have lab orders, things like that would help me to get a bigger picture of what you are experiencing and how we can bring you into a better state of health. That's really what I am the most passionate about. Thank you for purchasing this video. I hope that you got everything that you wanted to out of it, and please feel free to comment or email me with any questions.